The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
No, what I'm saying is someone's still gonna win, and it might be if just
I know
half the field, just about half the field is playing badly. With golf, you can easily say, "Oh, the course must be hard. They're all playing bad." You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Yeah.
That's right. It's Tuesday, everybody, and we are here. We are here at a new location here on Fantasy Sports Corp. Huge shout out to the guys over there, Fantasy Sports Corporation. We are so excited to be bringing our show to their airwaves here on YouTube. So make sure you catch us here every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock to kick off what should be a nice couple hours here of golf. If you want to stick around after, there is some more golf programs after us. But we get you started here at 8 because we're bringing the bang. We're bringing the news. We are bringing the advice, and we're ready. But are you ready? Are you as happy as I am to be here? Tee It Up Tuesday is officially on the map.
I heard in the locker room they might be calling this tea time, but at the same time, we what's going on? I'm still stuck on bringing the bang. Where did that come in? That wasn't in the show rundown. That wasn't in the pregame script. If you're going to come throwing haymakers out of left field, like bring the bang, we got to be talking about these things beforehand. That was one of those where like I just started talking and that was the adjective or the verb or whatever you want to call it that just came out of my mouth. Didn't say I hated, didn't say I loved it. I said I was overwhelmed by it. I'm doing phenomenal, man. We're really excited to be here on Fantasy Sports Corp. I think it's exciting times to be in golf in general. If you think about where we are in the game, everything that's going on around us, what's his face? Dan Rapp over at Barstool. Yeah, he put it pretty good. He was like, "We're in a good space." We meaning golf, yes. Right? He was talking about that in the context that PGA Tour is kind of taking the lead on LIV with the narrative, and they're right. And LIV has an opportunity this week to maybe say, "Here it is." First one out of the gate. Here we are. Here's our new product. If you've been following them on Insta Media or anywhere else, or if you subscribe to their emails, you've been knowing, hey, here are our teams. Here's the new captains. Shouts to our boy Hudson Swafford. He's out 4 to 6 months with a hip injury. He's gonna have to have surgery. But I was so curious. All right, who's on the Range Goats? I like that name. It's fun. A little homage to the old University of Georgia mascot, which was a goat before it was a bulldog. And you got Bubba Watson as the captain. So I clicked on teams, like the teams link when I went to live.com or whatever their earlier. I got a 404 error. This is their website. This is a global product. This is like launch week.
You said it was that error was up for a while too, wasn't it? You said
you want to? What's going on here? I'm going to refresh because this has been bugging me and I sent them a little note because we go way back. No, I was just like, hey man, in case y'all wanted to know your thing's down. And let's see teams. If you go, just go to even Google their Google results. Players 404 page not found. Is this a high school experiment? I mean, no disrespect, but no, I'm serious. This is going on right now for a couple hours where
there was a little disrespect in that comment.
There's a lot of disrespect, but it's also earned because it goes deeper to their whole thing about nobody takes us seriously. You've got great golfers. No. Unfortunately, you've got. I don't want to throw any ad hominem attacks. I don't know the actual people over there, but whatever's going on here. I mean, I work for my future former 9-to-5 small nonprofit. I would have gotten pinged earlier than this. To say, dude, fix the site, pull the page, do something. So I hope they get it up and running because it is an exciting week for golf. we're coming off an exciting couple weeks for golf. You know, we had the Super Bowl that was right next to the Waste Management, and you had John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler going back and forth. And then Rahm just carries it right through this week to Riviera, him and Max Homa. People are crying in their pressers. They're talking about family, how much this all means, all on the heels of Full Swing on Netflix. And so it's peaking. And what's funny is it's carrying on into this week. Sneaky good storyline for the Honda, because we are going to lead off to this week. We're going to front load with Honda.
Yes.
Okay, I was about to make a baby got back reference, but we're going to front load the Honda to get that out of the way. Because let's be honest, we haven't talked since Full Swing. There was a couple of texts throughout the last week.
A couple. I binged that thing in like 2 days, and I think I was lighting your phone up the whole time I was watching it.
Right, I had to space it out over the course of the week because too early to be taking digs at the single guy. But more than once, there were tears involved in these text messages, and I get it, man. The feels were there.
There was so many good storylines in that documentary. It was fantastic.
And if they're doing season 2 right now and they just haven't announced it, or if there's some sort of wink, wink, nod, nod, everybody, you know, if you've got a camera, here's our number kind of deal. They also could have done that. Here's the product, and now let's just crowdsource. You know, if we can have an agreement with the PGA Tour to get some actual footage, everybody else will just hand us their cell phone footage. It's Netflix. But one of the key storylines this week is a guy named Marcus Bird. And if you go back to the Torrey Pines round 1 earlier this year at the Farmers, while the PGA Tour was finishing up on, I'm going to butcher the North Course, North-South. I forget, because we're going to LA North here for the U.S. Open, but I want to say that when they were wrapping up on the South Course, the APGA Tour, the Advocates PGA Tour, this thing that's been around for a couple decades now, that's an entity designed to promote, provide resources, provide opportunity, provide transition for minority golfers to become professional golfers, kind of gateway pathway, if you will, to kind of help level out the game there. And Marcus Bird won the Farmers out there, because when we were doing the Farmers, they were doing the Farmers. And part of that was an exemption into this week's Honda. Honda said, we're going to take the winner of that tournament. We're going to give him. But what people are forgetting is he also got the Charlie Sifford scholarship exemption nomination from Tiger at his tournament. So Marcus Bird having a big couple weeks. And if you look the kid up, you're going to love him. When people are asking about expectations and stuff, he's like, man, this is what I'm here for, but I'm here to be a sponge. I'm here just to kind of soak it all in, take it up, see what it takes to be out here. Because if you did tune into Full Swing at all, it wasn't a golf show. And how you know that is because they repeated 57,000 fucking times what the cut was, what a par was.
Oh my God. Yeah. I understood why they did it, but I was okay, I gotta remember what I'm watching here.
Right, because let's be honest, that was not designed for you and me and other like uber golf nerds. There were no surprises there. I mean, tournaments were out of order, but there were themes.
We got to see the same tournament like 3 times from 3 different perspectives.
I thought it was so cool though, because it's also, we were coming from our position and how everything wrapped up. So we'll get into that in a little bit here later. But first things first, thank you so much once again to Fantasy Sports Corp for letting us crash. Even if only for a night, we'll see how it goes. And always,
even if they say I sip my wine awkwardly, we'll let that slide.
Do you have your pinky out? That's all I want to know. Which I'm not. No judgment. Just looks a little more refined there. What are you sipping? What are you drinking? What is that wine?
You know what? I didn't even look at the bottle. It's a random one that I've never had before. It's all right. It'll do.
You feeling okay?
Oh, I'm fine. It's my first glass.
I didn't mean drunk. I meant emotionally.
Yeah.
And thank you to Piper Golf.
Why do you think I hang out with you every Tuesday night? No, the answer is no. I don't feel. I'm kidding.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that. So people might be going, what the fuck's this show all about? We're not fantasy experts. We are experts in life. We're not going to make you better, but we will make you more whole.
Yes.
Now, we will bring
you fantasize about things from time to time, but that's okay.
Keep that inside. We talked about this before the show. But what you will walk away with is maybe a take, an angle, a question, or, an aha moment. Because again, going back to the Full Swing thing, this game is layered. And when you got 150 some odd people teeing it up, I don't care how many mathematical models you have. If it was that simple, then somebody would have figured it out by now. So while we do want to bring our own perspective and expertise of sorts, me being a seasoned golf, I would say stick, to borrow another term, and you being kind of a noob to the game, but definitely an old soul and a very, very smart fantasy guy. If you're a football person, look him up too. That's probably actually why you're here, is you know him through that, the real Mr. Duck. But
Mr.
Weekend,
Mallett,
weekend,
fuck,
we,
man?
we,
Get the name right.
weekend in, week out, we will take you through whatever's going on in the golf world.
Yes.
And of course, the center of that universe, as usual, is the PGA Tour this week. But what's funny is we've got this invasion. We've got they're not off my shit list until it's refreshed.
Until you refresh and that error is gone.
That's amateur hour stuff. I'm dead serious. This isn't some archive.
Like you said, especially on the week that you literally are putting everywhere about your new teams and all. You're pushing this narrative, and Greg Norman comes out either yesterday or the day before, as he always does, talking about how they've single-handedly changed golf and all this jazz. Like, what you know what we'll get there, because we'll talk we'll go on and on forever about this. We'll bleed into other things.
Where are we this week?
Let's quickly get to the Honda Classic. Let's get our picks in. Let's talk about our key stats, and then we're going to roll it back into all of our nonsense thoughts that maybe some people will agree with us on. We'll see. But yeah, we're at sorry about that. We are at the Honda Classic this week. Coming off of sorry, I got a cough again. Sorry about that again. We're coming off of obviously a fantastic week at the Genesis Invitational. First and foremost, Tigers tournament. Tigers showed up, played great, really, except for that last round. But I'm not surprised. For the most part, he looked good moving around. I think that's what everybody was watching for. Yes, he had a slight limp, but honestly, I couldn't tell if he was limping because he had to, or if he was just kind of favoring to.
We got 4 days.
Longer.
We got 4 days of Tiger, and he proved once again that he is the needle. And he also kind of sent the signal of, you'll see me here, you'll see me at the majors. And then outside of that, he's like, we're going to have to take it. I mean, we might never see him play a Players again. He might, I bet he will do, as much as these guys say they won't, he'll do a kind of farewell tour at some point, even if he's doing it subconsciously, because he's got to play Bay Hill again. He's got to go play Torrey again. He's got to
think about what he just did at St. Andrews. I mean, this past year at St. Andrews, that was basically his farewell to St. Andrews. So I mean, to an extent, some of these courses, it's going to happen already.
And all it takes is a spark. All it takes is one little spark. Look at Brady. We really did. I mean, how many times Max Kellerman? How many times did we wash up Brady? And here he is. And there's still those things floating around. Like, is he coming back? No.
Yeah. Except now he's having retirement parties, so I think it's legit this time.
Well, once Bill Belichick came out and publicly and spoke nicely about him, and that's when I was like, "Oh shit, no, he really."
Yeah, honestly, whenever he went on Brady's podcast,
off,
that was the switch for me. I knew it was done.
Tom's back to being Tom to him. He's no longer number 12 on Tampa. So, all right. Anyway, I'm sorry I ran us right off there because we are.
That's fine. That's fine. Let's get into the Honda, because look, my I know if you listened last week, I said I was getting off the strokes game putting for a week. That resulted in me only getting a 4 of 6 lineup against Bud's 5 of 6 lineup. He did beat me this week by roughly I think it was 43 points. So I think I got to update the totals here, but I believe that puts us just about even, within a few points of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think for the season total, we are just about lined up with each other even there. So congratulations to Bud this week for having a nice lineup. He had some nice top end finishers there. So good calls there. But so I am going to go back to the putting as being part of my key stats this week, along with ball striking and approach. And I'm also going to throw in there for this week, approach shots 175 to 200 and par fours 450 to 500. It's a longer course than last week. We got some long approach shots. The rough's not going to be as detrimental as we saw at Riviera. That definitely lived up to the hype. I am surprised Rahm and Homa were able to go as low as they did. But for the most part, it kind of played out the way we expected it to play out at Riv. So that's what I'm looking at for the Honda. Do you kind of line up with the key stats, or are you going a different direction completely?
No, I think you're an idiot. No, I think
right.
you're a little too complex for my flavor, but I do agree with you on the par fours. We're talking about PGA National, the champion course. There's 5 courses down at the PGA complex down there in South Florida, and this is the one that they saved for the Honda. It was redone a couple years back with Jack adding the bear trap, right? We got 2 par 3s in the back 9 that hug a par 4. They're all hugging water the whole time. It's a real true test for a champion's finish, and that's what it was designed to be. Jack does it better than anybody, and we'll see how Tiger's body of work comes out. He's doing like an 8,000 plus yards joint out west. So PGA National down there, it's 7,000 yards plus, but there's only 2 par 5s. And so like you're saying, par 4s are going to be at a premium, but you go up and down that scorecard and you've got enough in the 300-yard range that they're going to either be cutting corners or having good angles. So I just did strokes gained par 4, strokes gained par 4, strokes gained par 4, strokes gained ball striking. Again, that combining off the tee and approach stat, and then birdies are better gained. So how many times are these folks converting when they do get up there? So who gets hot on the weekend at the right moment is going to be key. And you look at the field, and no disrespect, but this is what happens when you raise the bar everywhere else.
Yeah.
Nope, not going to live yet. I was about to start talking about
don't do
live
that.
shit.
We'll get there.
There's some great live crossover. But anyways, back to PGA National. It is a real bear of a test, no pun intended. So even though, like you said, the rough's not going to be too tough in South Florida this time of year, if the wind picks up at all, and or they just want to put on a show and get those greens, real fast. Remember, these guys have been out west for the most part, so this is going to be our first transition back to the East Coast. Where don't be surprised if somebody who you've never heard, Joe Shit the Ragman comes out of nowhere, posts a low number to change his life, because they've been doing nothing but prepping for this Florida swing.
Yeah, it's that kind of week this week. When I looked into my research, there's a ton of value this week. I think when I look at my top 10 in my model, I can tell you my entire top 6 are all under 8K this week. So there's some massive value. I couldn't pick just one guy in the 7K range. You're going to find that out as we get to our picks here in just a second. But this could definitely be a weekend look. Now that Jon Rahm is actually taking a week off of the field for once, feels like it's wide open again for the first time in a few weeks here, because Jon Rahm has just been doing whatever he wants.
He's on cheat mode right now. I mean, if he just wanted to show up tomorrow and tee it up there at the Pro-Am, and then he'd probably win that too. I'm not going that deep. I really got distracted by LIV in full swing and all the other shit going on, and the pageantry at RIV. You alluded to it, man. Tiger's tournament's going to hold a special place moving forward. You heard Jon Rahm mention that. He goes, "Man, I've won the tournament hosted by Jack and Tiger." He's like, "It's pretty freaking cool."
Sure is.
There was a little chirp from one of our buddies, Thomas Pieters, who ended up jumping over to LIV, and he was pissed off about not getting in. And the only thing I have to say about that is buck up, dude. Like, look, do your homework. He didn't qualify. He was like, 34th ranked in the world, but I couldn't get an invitation. No, because that's not what it's based on. It's based on
they're looking for
different levels. There's different levels. Thomas Pieters is Pieters. I'm going to say that whether it's right or wrong.
I've always just called him Peters, honestly.
Don't rant on my fucking parade. Thomas Pieters is a global brand, though. That's the thing. Sure. He's why they're gone. But anyway, I did identify, we 10K, 9K, 8K if you have to. And 10K, they made it easy. Shane Lowry or Sung Jae M. Shane Lowry's hotter than Sung Jae right now.
Yep.
Sung Jae's so hot right now. No, Shane Lowry in the 10K range if you need to. He's coming off, I think a T14 or T4. Yeah, T14 at the Genesis. So after not doing much, and I was actually talking shit about him. People were, I'm like,
Your mic is cutting out there. You're on mute. I don't know what's going on with your mic there, bud. Yeah, your mic is. It looks like it disconnected from the mouth. There we go. Okay,
man.
But yeah, Sung Jae, he was. He had a nice performance this past week, I believe, is what you were trying to say.
That's where I was going with it, but I wasn't going to finish there. Thanks for bailing me out. What do you got in the 9K and the 10K? Who you got from the 10K range, and then tell me your 9K love.
So I'm with you, Shane Lowry over Sung Jae in the 10K range. Just I think Shane Lowry is playing just as good as Sung Jae, but he's slightly less money. There's only 2 of them up in the 10K range, and Shane Lowry is also looking to be about 3 to 4% less owned as well. So when I'm paying up that high, I want to find that edge, especially when there's only 2 guys up that high. So Shane Lowry for me in the 9K range, and then when it comes 10K range, I'm sorry. And then when it comes to the 9K range, I'm looking at Thomas Dietrich, I think it's Dietrich though. We've said his name here before in recent weeks, but Thomas Dietrich makes my short list this week. I just lost him. Where did he go? I apologize. There we go.
Oh, no, you're good. He's like 9,000.
Yeah, 9,000. He comes in 17th in my model. Projected ownership around 15-16%. So a little bit high on the ownership. But look, he's had a good run here. He's made the cut and finished top 40 his last 5 events. He doesn't have a tournament history here, so we'll see how that plays out. But he's been playing in all the key stats so right where you need to. He's top 5 in the par 4s from that 450 to 500 range. He's a middle of the road approach guy, but he's a above average putter. So Thomas Dietrich is a guy that I'm looking at in the 9K range. And then real fast, a question here from Super Friends Sports Network. We play on DraftKings ourselves. It's where I've always played. It's what I like. I'm more used to the pricing on DraftKings. I've played a little bit on FanDuel. I'm just more used to it. There's subtle differences between the two, but for me, DK is where it's at. And you can also get over to Belly Up, get the promo code off the Belly Up Fantasy Sports website. If you are not already a member over at DraftKings, use that promo code and get some free money basically in your account. So go check that out over at bellyupfantasysports.com.
Free shit's good shit. And
Yes.
I have not partaken in FanDuel for golf. I'm in a FanDuel football league, and I guess it's just what you're used to. But I will say that the DK seems to be the leader in the clubhouse when it comes to fantasy golf. Pun fully intended. 9K range. I'm going to shock you a little bit. First of all, Minwoo Lee doesn't rank out for shit in these models, but that's because he's an Aussie and he's been lighting it up elsewhere. So keep an eye on him. But if you want to lean on the data, then I would say Matt Kuchar is a name to keep an eye on because for a few reasons. I think this tournament is primed for either a hot up and comer or a seasoned vet. Like Zach Johnson's the kind of guy who I could see coming out here and just very, very mechanically and soberly like executing his way around and not getting rattled, because it's kind of like, who cares? I've been there, done that. And Matt Kuchar's coming off a top 10 finish at the Genesis and a T32 at the Waste Management. So when you got experience riding that kind of momentum, I'd say lean into it if you can.
It was nice to see Cooch at near the top of the leaderboard again this week. He's a guy that I've always liked. I'll always like to watch him play, and I've just appreciated his kind of the way he carries himself on tour. So definitely nice to see Cooch doing well again. So I don't hate that. I do agree that it feels like it's going to be one of the other seasoned vet or a savvy amateur this week. Or not amateur, but a younger up-and-comer.
Fun fact, my sister was in his sister's wedding.
Oh, you have weird, strange connections everywhere.
Onion.
And Super Friends Sport Network, this bottle, glass of wine right here is about as sophisticated as we get. I know I am sophisticated over on TSS Fantasy, on the show there.
Are you known for sipping red wine while giving fantasy updates?
I think it's becoming a thing. It's not something I've tried to push, but I think I've done it enough now. And because I got Sophistication Station with Jason's show over there with TSS, that it kind of seems like it might be becoming a thing. So look, I
like it.
So it's kind of why I was going with the Mr. Mallard. I kind of wanted to play that up a little bit, so I guess it's working.
Mallard, is there a duck reference? I'm not sure. I'm not privy
my
to.
Whole life, people have mistaken my last name Leduc, said it Leduc. I've always been called some sort of duck nickname because of that. So I didn't want to be called Mr. Duck.
Is your last name Mallard or Leduc?
No, my last name is Leduc. See right here on the screen, it says Andrew Leduc.
Hey, go fuck yourself. My name's Michael. It says Bud. No, so in my phone, it's Andrew Mallard because
really?
I thought Leduc was some sort of like wink, wink, nod, nod homage to French heritage or some shit. And it's like,
no, that's the real deal right there. The Mallard is the wink, wink, nod, nod, poor joke.
Let's remind ourselves, don't take my level of understanding of others' humor as any kind of litmus test for whether or not it was actually funny. Other people, I'm sure, got it a lot quicker. Let's be honest, just not enough RAM or bandwidth up here. 8K, because I got
let's hit the 8K.
Come on, Johnny Vegas all day long.
I'm glad you went him because I almost did.
He's a cut maker. He's a Kuchar light when you look at this field of like every year. And I feel like the Waste Management was a spot that he usually kind of rose up to the top. But as that field gets stronger and stronger, journeymen and like Vegas are going to be kind of not relegated, but relegated to the Hondas and the John Deeres and the Barbosas, not Barbosas, the Barbasols, the Barracudas.
Yeah.
All
Barbosa.
right,
I'm glad you went
who do
him.
you like?
I was back and forth between Vegas and our boy from last year making his first appearance on the show this year, Mr. Adam Svensson, is going to be back in my lineup this week. Mainly, he had a quiet showing this week, and he finished top 10 at the Genesis at T9, and no one really talked much about him. You didn't hear much about him on the broadcast. So Adam Svensson, I like this week. He also finished 9th here last year. So we're gonna start the Svensson train early this year, right here with the Honda Classic for me in the 8K range, and then 7K. Okay, this is where things get crazy for me because I couldn't decide. So I'm going to give one. I'm going to see who you give, and then I'll see if I want to say one more. But my top pick in the 7K range is going to be Lee Hodges this week. Like I said, in the 7K range, there's a lot of juice, a lot of value you can get here. But Lee Hodges for me, he finished T18th last week, finished T9 here last year, ranks out top 20 in the par fours and approaches and in ball striking. So give me Lee Hodges, ranks out 5th in my model this week.
Give me Lee Hodges.
You got it.
No,
How about you?
I do not. Honestly, you were proving my point when you said you can't really choose somebody this week. And that's what I was saying earlier of like a tournament like the Honda. This is where a winner is going to come out of the 7K range because the stars are going to align. And you have so many golfers down there. And as we've learned again through the full swing, vision, this fucking game is hard. It's really hard. And these guys are chomping at the bit and nobody wants it any more than other. I love when people say like, oh, you really have to want it. They all want it. They're all just humans. So I think if you're gonna do anything down to the 7K range, do one of two things. Either trust experience. So if you do see somebody down there who's little more of a vet who is playing in form, go with that, or just trust your research, trust your numbers. If you're going to be a number cruncher, do it. Like for me, Ben Griffin ranks out number 2 overall.
He was the other guy I was back and forth with. We are in line tonight.
Oh, look at that. We're ring the bell. No, but his last performance was a miscut at Pebble. I mean, a 3-round miscut. Come on now.
Yeah.
And so I would still play him, although I don't know if I did. But that's my advice for 7K. If you really don't have anything else to go on, then lean on your numbers. But if you can find somebody down there who's in good form is everything, when it comes to this. Obviously, John Rahm's proven that.
Real fast, I'm going to rapid fire off just a couple more names here in the 7K range because, like I said, I liked a lot. So if you're up against the money and have to hit a certain point down here in the 7K range, rounding out your lineup, I like Hayden Buckley and I like Joseph Bramlett as well in the 7K range. So I would give them looks if it falls right for you on the salary side of things. Do you have anyone in the 6K range this week that's worth mentioning?
No. So, and not because I don't believe in it, because I do think that a winner is going to come either out of 7K or one of those like top 6 guys. I think, I don't think I'm going to shut up right now. I don't have anybody in the 6K because I just didn't go that deep.
Well, and you know what? You don't have to go that deep this week with the way the pricing is, where the only 2 guys over 10K, a bunch of 9K, actually not even a bunch of 9K guys. The majority of the players are in the 8K, 7K range. So you can definitely make multiple lineups without even having to touch the 6K range. If you find yourself top loading your lineup though, and you do find yourself looking down in the 6K range, the one guy I would take a look at 6,700 is Satoshi Kodaira. I butchered that. I know that for sure. That's all I know. But he's someone who finished T29 at Pebble, T53 at Farmers. He did miss the cut here last year, but did finish T36 the year before that. But look, right now, he's 7th in the field in ball striking, 6th in the field from approaches 175 to 200, 7th in the field in approaches, and he is middle of the pack when it comes to putting in the par 4. So that's a guy at that price, 6,700. If that means I'm going to be able to get 3 of the bigger names with a chance to win it at the top of my lineup, I'll take a shot that he makes the cut and ride that out. If you find yourself deep diving down there, don't be afraid.
You know what? I can't. Yeah, I was not going to make fun of you. I was like, who's he talking about? I thought you were talking about Kurt Kitayama for a second. Just the way you were going for the pronunciation.
No, his name's too fun to say. Kitayama.
Yeah, I was like,
I'll remember that.
All right.
So I was going to say, because I want to hit one question on this before we get there, because it came in early, once again, from Super Friends Sport Network. He just wants to know, I already put that one up. He wants to know who we think is going to win the tournament this week. So just a quick throw it out there. Who would be if you had to throw money on anyone to win this week, who are you looking at?
Matt Kuchar, for all the reasons I just said. The stars align for a vet like that who is seeing all these other things go on. Strokes gained home life is a real deal. And when you're Matt Kuchar, you're a former US Am winner, you've won the Players, you've been on the doorstep of majors, you're seeing all these other people. Maybe he got a live offer, maybe he didn't, whatever, but he's got the game. And when you're top 10 at Riv and you have won at that level before, that's what I say, like, look out for somebody like him. If you go back and look at the winners, even though this isn't a big tournament, everybody's a freaking name. Even going back to when Keith Mitchell is now a name, that's another, if he was here, I'd say, look
also
out for
looked good this week.
Listen, fear the sweater. The sweater visor combo. I'm telling you right now, Coastal Carolina is well represented, and I think he actually might be somebody dangerous at a major. But I would say Matty Kuchar, and I was tongue in cheek, Zach Johnson. Matty Kuchar is who I honestly think might come out on top this week.
I love that. I would love to see Matty Kuchar win. I'm going to throw my name on, my card down.
Not me. I'm not rooting for him other than I'm betting on him. I mean, he still went to Georgia Tech, nerd.
Nah, that's cool. But no, I mean, I like Kuchar, so if he wins, I'd be happy for him. I'm going to go with Adam Svensson. If I was going to throw a bet on anybody, it would be Adam Svensson. I don't know what his odds are, but I bet you they're pretty manageable odds to make a little profit. And I think he could definitely finish top 5, top 10, and with a chance to win this week. So Adam Svensson would do it for me. All right. Because I cut you off, where are you going? Let's get into the knitting, all the juicy stories that we've been dying to talk about this week. Sounded like you were ready to jump on one.
We got an update on the LIV website. Hold on.
Oh, there we go.
Hey, the team's page is fixed.
They listened to your message.
I say score 1 for the Divots and Pivots gang. That's where I wanted to start. Actually, was LIV.
Perfect.
As much as I like to bust their chops, I beat them because I love them. The beatings will continue until morale improves and they get shit like this correct, because it's getting cleaner. They're getting a little bit better. I do think their stuff is tongue in cheek, but we go back to, if you're new to the game or you're new to LIV at all, or you think like, oh, what is it, the Saudi back thing? Sure. Whatever. All right. If that is your level of wanting, if that's where you want to enter the conversation, then you almost have to just kind of accept that there are people out there who don't see that, or that's not part of their equation. And right now I really do just see this as professional golf. I don't discount. We're going to have, we had a writer from the New Yorker on, Zach Helfand, on, who followed these guys around for 6 months because we wanted to know that side of it. And he did say it's kind of icky back there, but the way the sausage is made isn't always pretty. So LIV being back, I think, is good for golf on a certain level. I went through what we did this last year when LIV came around, and we kind of counted names. Just, there's 54 guys out there, whatever it was at the time. And I was like, I think we know about like 12 of these guys. It was almost like the opening scene from Major League, where they're going through and going, who are these fucking guys? I went and did that right before the show. Every single team, there's 12 teams, 4 guys on a team right now. So you got 48. 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. And they probably have some bench players, right? Like we got Andy Ogletree, LIV alumni, who just won for the second time over there in Asia. And he's proving that he's proving what he said in some of his interviews is, I didn't have anywhere else to play golf. Didn't have status on PGA, didn't have status on Korn Ferry. And I could, here's an opportunity to not have to Monday qualify through the rest of my life. And I took it, and financial stability. So, and he's a success story. And I like seeing that, again, even if he is part of the nerd squad. Georgia Tech has so many guys who have won that US Amateur,
let's make this personal, bud,
including a little guy named Bobby Jones. But the LIV, these 48 guys, I knew like 37 of them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, granted, I'm a golf dork, a nerd, but every single team had at least one kind of American or PGA centric name.
Sure. And
then another one that you could kind of claim has much more of a European centric or global appeal, where you've got I think Brooks Koepka and Paul Casey's on Bryson DeChambeau or something like that, where you've got that pairing. And I get it. So where does it come in, and where do we stand as a show? And I am speaking for the Divots and Pivots brand, because we've been down this road before, which is
we sure have.
We don't mind that there's another option for professional golf out there. Hell, we went out, we loved it. We wish they were coming back because it was a good time. Yeah. But what bugs me, and I got this confirmed over the weekend by some buddies of mine who we went and played for a couple hours at the simulator, and their take on LIV was, we're all gravy, but these guys who think that they're going to be just as popular, just as well respected, the shine that's created by the PGA Tour in this tradition and all that, That didn't come with you. You were, no matter how good you were at playing Jean Valjean, when you decided to go and be the lead in a different play, the Les Mis stigma stayed over here on Broadway. Is that theatrical reference too deep for you?
No, I got you. I'm there.
So yeah, Cam Smith, the people who were kind of complaining about it, I don't fault Dustin Johnson. And I do think he had a mic drop moment in full swing when he just kind of laid it out there.
You know what? And we'll get there, but Dustin Johnson was someone that I expected coming out of full swing to be, to feel, I guess, distaste or like annoyance with how he handled LIV, and I came out feeling the complete opposite because I appreciated, like you just said, how just straight up honest he was about it, and that's all I care about. Just be honest.
He's the yin to Pat Perez's yang,
But his argument also, his reasonings made sense too for his life, for where he was in his career. It all made sense the way he said. I said, okay, you know what? And he came off genuine. That made sense to me. I was perfectly fine with Dustin Johnson in full swing.
I mean, listen, I think Netflix absolutely helped golf, period.
Yes.
Whether, they're going to piss people off, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. I think they did a really good job of not just kind of chronologically going through the year as a behind the scenes. They wanted to tell certain stories. They opened up with that Frenemies episode with Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas. And throughout, you saw those connections. You saw towards the end the Mito Pereira and Joaquin Neiman relationship, where they were like, well, yeah, of course we love one another, but yeah, I want to beat his brains in every day.
Now Mito's joined him up over at LIV too. He was one of the defectors from the past week or two here too. So
defector.
Well, you know what? I only said that because that's how it's been being put in the media. So I just kind of echoed that, but yeah, I guess so.
Shots fired. Hey, easy, man. I don't want to get taken off their email list. I want a hat or something. That's all I want. I want them to say like,
I will say I was a little surprised that Mito went, especially after seeing his full swing episode, because the impression I got from him and his wife jointly, it seemed like they had their like partnership as a team, as a couple, I freaking loved. I didn't see she supports him so damn much, and like is his greatest like ally and defender and like pusher of just like what he can do out on the course. But the way they talked about the PGA as well, and the history and his future on the PGA, facing that level of talent all the time and cementing his legacy, that's why I was a little surprised when I then saw like a day later that he was moving over to LIV, because it seemed like he was going to be one of those guys to me that was just locked in and committed to the PGA.
Mito will be back on the PGA Tour in the next 7 years. All these guys will come back. They'll
7 years. I agree with that for sure.
Not all. Well, I mean, he's 26, 27, 28, somewhere like that. So yeah, he'll come back. Bryson, I think that's what Bryson meant when he was like, I know it's going to work out. I don't think he meant like, I think he thought he meant immediately. Whiny bitch.
They all did at first.
But the more we're seeing this, I mean, God, I think the Tigers Indoor League just signed another couple players. I mean, they're just, everybody I think Matty Fitzpatrick's on board now. Like everybody wants a slice of what's next. And these guys just, there's your bag. There's financial stability for me.
Sure.
For generations. I love that Brooks Koepka's like, sure, I'm going to take the slings and arrows. He was a little.
Okay. Are we ready to talk about Brooks Koepka?
We already talked about episode 1, frenemies, and then we went to like episode. We're off the.
Well, then you talk Brooks first, because you already know I got some feelings on that situation that I don't want to take up all the time. So you hit me with your Brooks, where you were going first.
I don't think. Actually, no, that's not. I absolutely see and can empathize with everything he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that he gets a stigma around him and as being kind of a broski, for whatever reasons. The bleach blonde hair didn't help. But
that was not a good time for him.
I know your take, and you kind of want to chirp him for feeling like he might be challenged and then running away from the challenge.
No, okay. Don't lead into my take, because that's not the route I'm going with it. Don't.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Hit me with yours first, and I'll explain where that'll make more sense in a minute.
I all the scuttlebutt about maybe he's having buyer's remorse and wanting to come back. That might be him. That might not. Shit, that might be Hudson for all we know, because he's sitting there laid up. Although 4 to 6 months, and you got the financial security of LIV. If those kind of numbers were getting thrown around, probably okay.
Not sure what his contract looks like, but
but with Brooksy, I love him. I want him to come back. I don't hate him for making the jump he did when he did, for the reasons he did. Because what if he doesn't get healthy again?
Mm-hmm.
Then you don't have 20 years of memorial tournaments and, maybe getting a win here and there and endorsement deals. It can be scary. There's the money up front. It's guaranteed. It's stability. It's not just about playing for trophies. And I do get where, Rory's in a position where he needs to, he is in a position to be the standard bearer. Brooks wasn't in that position.
No.
DJ wasn't in that position. With the baggage that DJ came through, no matter how great he became, he's not going to be the next Arnie, the next Jack, the next Ty. Even Arnie wasn't the next Arnie. It was Jack, and then it was Tiger. And, now there is a long list of people waiting behind Rory, because Rory is the standard bearer for the game. He's the one holding that torch right now until Colin Morikawa comes along, or Justin Thomas, or Jordan Spieth, those guys who are lined up. So I get where everybody's coming from, because I can empathize with that. I just hope he does come back. And if he does, that he doesn't bleach his hair again. And I do think he'll be back.
Why am I still muted? The bleached hair was definitely not a good look. I also hope he comes back at some point. Because look, I went into that one. So it was like I've been on a roller coaster ride when it comes to Brooke, because when he was on the tour and they had that whole thing, Brooks v Bryson, and it was like this kind of comedy, frenemy situation, whatever. I was team Brooks. Like I thought he was funny. I thought he had the better digs. Like I was on team Brooks. He left, and I was like, well, that sucks for PGA. I wonder, like, what's he doing? Because we didn't hear too much about him. Full Swing was the most I got a glimpse into his reasonings and his thought processes. Not even just with LIV, but over the past 2 years. I have a lot of empathy and respect for Brooks after that. He's clearly did and may still be struggling with a lot of self-doubt, a lot of self-deprecation with himself. He obviously was not in a great mental space when it comes to his confidence playing the game of golf, which you have to have in order to really challenge these guys, which he admitted. He was fully upfront and wasn't afraid to admit all these things about himself. But he clearly wasn't in the headspace to really take charge of his game on the PGA Tour. So I get that. I get the idea of going to LIV as a change, as a way to maybe just reinvigorate his competitive nature, his confidence. I get it. I don't knock on it. He explained it. It worked. My issue when it comes to Brooks, I did say in my text to you that I think he ran away, because I do think he ran away. I think he ran away from the PGA because he flat out admitted he can't compete. Those are his words, not me. His own words was that he can't compete with these guys right now. I think he ran away because he didn't think he could do it.
In fairness, he did just see some, Scheffler throw out another 63 for the fifth time in 2 weeks. And he was on a heater like we haven't seen, but your point's valid. But also what it was is a little bit of the physical, which was feeding that doubt. My body's breaking down. One injury after he did get bit by the injury bug, and maybe LIV was not the next chapter. Maybe in his mind, it was always just a rehab. It's a lucrative rehab tour, because he's got his exemptions into a lot of these majors and tournaments for the next 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. He still has a handful of those left. And once you start feeling healthy, like he says, in full swing, all it takes is one moment, one swing thought. And somebody else said it recently, it was Max Homa. You're always one swing thought away from turning it all around. And Brooksy says that in full swing. That said, I get why. But if you're throwing shade at him because he's wearing sunglasses and laying by his pool with his supermodel girlfriend / wife now, okay.
So, and I don't even want to throw shade at him, but I'm glad you brought up the wife, because I want to throw shade at everybody else in his life. Because if there's one thing I saw in his episode, whenever he had his friends, family, or his wife around,
sinners,
nobody seemed to legitimately give a shit about what he was going through. They all just seemed to be talking about, like, as a general, the way it was affecting kind of all of their own lives. And I can see why maybe he's carrying all this pressure and having all this doubt, because I think he might feel like he's got a lot of people to take care of and to please.
Right. These guys are they're all CEOs, or they're all CEOs of Tony Finau Inc. or Colin Morikawa Inc. I loved seeing Colin Morikawa tell that designer just deadpan, nah, that's not really me.
Yeah,
like,
I don't think
that works. Because I would be the total opposite.
But my big take on Brooks is this: that he may come back to the PGA, whatever, he may stay on LIV for however many years, whatever. He's not going to ever win jack shit again unless he bleeds some of these people out of his life. It's just, he's never going to shake the confidence issue if he doesn't have these people breathing down his neck. I don't think he's got to do something to get that back, because we saw that he can do it. We saw that he can have that swagger, that confidence. Something got in his head, and a lot of people entered his life, and I think he's got to find the right people to have around him.
And okay, sure. That I do not condone
the injuries are there too.
Nor disagree with your theory. Yeah, just that I never thought about that side of it, because I was also thinking about, like, what's one of the biggest tragedies in the history of football? Dan Marino never won a Super Bowl, right? He got to that first one, and everybody thought, don't worry, he'll be back. Laces out, motherfucker. Brooks Koepka, the level of winning that he did, most PGA Tour players are lucky to, get their card for more than a year, a handful of years, make a living doing this. That level, you're right. He'll probably never hit that again, go on a run like that.
Well, the fact that he hit it once was rare.
But I do think that he's also the kind of player and champion that Augusta stays a reality as long as he can keep getting his exemptions and getting his invitations. And again, I do see him coming back to the PGA Tour eventually, because the dust is going to settle on this. We'll see what happens when the CW numbers come in. Did you see that? It's and I don't blame him. You got to make the deals that you got to make, but it's streaming. It's only on the CW app on Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday, it'll be on CW proper, which I kind of am excited to see it on network TV. Like what we were saying, our boy Hardy was saying, to go, all right, dude, give me CW.
Yeah. No, I did see that. I saw that it was going to be kind of split broadcasting, which, look, to an extent, that's not far off from the way the PGA does it now. During those Thursday, Fridays rounds, you really only get them from like 3 to 5 on like an NBC or sometimes just the Golf Channel. So other than that, you are just streaming it on apps or whatever the tournament specific website is. So it's not that much different from what we're getting with the PGA now. I will be much more interested to see what the broadcast coverage looks like, because the app coverage, I don't know, you can do anything with that. Anybody can do anything with app coverage. I want to see what the broadcast TV coverage is. I want to see how they set it up from a viewing kind of structured standpoint with the leaderboard and all that. I want to see how they do commercials and how the broadcast team does. That's what I'm curious to see, is those Saturday, Sunday days at first. And we'll see, how much of it I actually take it, but I will tune in to at least see a little bit of that.
And that's the thing, is it's still an unknown product and commodity outside of us little nerdy circles for now. They're trying to build their global footprint. They're trying to build the global game, hence the Mito signing. Is it Mito or Mito? Mito. I feel bad.
I've always called him Mito, but then you started off with calling him Mito today, so I was just kind of following that.
I think it is Mito.
It might be Mito, yeah.
But that's why they have so many of those international signings. And if you did watch Full Swing, you saw that Chilean / Latin American, vibe, that house, that crew that traveled together,
which looked like a fun time, by the way.
They looked
like they had a lot of fun in that house with their wives, their girlfriends, whatever they we're all just hanging out.
That's the house that I would want to be at for Waste Management. I think I would want to stay with like Rory for a big tournament.
Yeah.
Just because I am fascinated by that dude. But that's the crew that, you hang around enough and it's like, well, wait a minute. This is my universe. This is my network. They're going there. I can do the same work, make more money, probably have more fun. And as we saw with Ogletree and Hudson and, Pat, what the hell is, why am I shitbag McGee, Patrick Reed.
Oh yes.
And with all these guys and taking the advantage of these Asian tour events, eventually I think the world golf ranking points are going to come around. These, it'll be, what they'll say is send us anybody other than Greg Norman and we'll talk.
Well,
And they'll get whatever limited points that they're due. I don't think that it's going to be a lot, but that's why he went. It's like, there's my world. And again, I'm 27. Yeah. If it doesn't work out, I think that's what all of them had to say too, is if I sign on the dotted line and this money comes into my bank account, like I get these checks, I know I'm locked in and I never play another round of golf on the PGA Tour, I could be financially stable for the rest of my life. If, you have certain adjustments, certain investments, whatever it is. I am not a finance guy, but I could honestly see that like that. I mean, Brooks said it. I'm set. My kids are set. My grandkids are set. My great grandkids are probably set. As Beyonce said, my great grandbaby's already rich. So it's a real thing. And I think Full Swing kind of uncovered that. Joel Damon might have been the single biggest winner. We knew him. Everybody. Well, see, here's the thing: is everybody inside of golf knew Joel Damon.
Yeah, we brought his name up a ton last year, just from a fantasy standpoint. We did. Like, we obviously didn't know a bunch about his personal life, but from a fantasy standpoint, he's been on the radar for at least a year now.
Yeah, and I loved seeing the respect that he got after he left the room. I mean, obviously, I don't know if those guys would have said if the cameras weren't there, but no, I'm sure they would have. But they're just kind of like, yeah, he's got the shots, he's got the game.
Yeah,
and I love how they paralleled it with
Yeah, who was on the episode?
Was it more? No, because it was Morikawa and Finau.
Yeah, no, it was
Joel Damon, not Scotty Scheffler.
No, Scheffler didn't really have his own episode. Like he was just like a tertiary character.
Oh my God, I can't remember who it was.
I can't remember who it was.
It might not have been any singular person. It might have been spliced in with all those guys and shown. I can't remember off the top of my head. The fact that you have to have that dumb level of confidence, though. You have to have that kind of like, I am one of the best in the world. And I like what he said. Somebody's got to be the 70th best golfer in the world. Why not me? It's a fun life. But champions don't settle like that. And as soon as he finished top 10 in a major, it's like, oh shit. Like my best, and he even said, well, that's what he said. My best can hang out here.
Yeah.
So it was, I love me some Joel Damon. Now all of a sudden he's popping up everywhere on more Travis Matthews ads, win a round of golf with Joel Damon.
He definitely came out as the fan favorite of that entire series. Him and Tony Finau probably are going to get the most love from the fans with the way they were portrayed. Obviously outside JT, Rory, Spieth, they were all portrayed.
They came, but
they were already at that level with the fans. And Finau wasn't necessarily not at that level with the fans, but Finau was still kind of on that line of casual fans may not still know his name. And I think casual fans are going to know his name now if they watch Full Swing. I think he's going to be a name that people remember after that because he was definitely relatable in his episode.
It's the whole family thing. And, people talk about it was a different game. Jack Nicklaus, what if he wasn't such a good family man? What if, because he was a good dad. He was a good husband. I mean, that's part of his legacy. And you talk about Tiger, obviously has his personal picadillos. And he, a lot of that was, people would blame or say it's because he was so laser focused. And Tiger would even say, in his kind of second wave Tiger, elder statesman version, he's much more fun to be around in the locker room. I love that shot at the end of Rory sitting there, and spoiler, he gets a text message from Tiger, but he says he's always the first one. He's the first one to text. Like every time before the final putt drops, he's pressing send. And it shows that they say that wasn't like that back in the day. And I love how even Tony Finau said it in his episode. I tried to chat him up on the final round of the Masters after about 4 or 5 holes. I said, so how are the kids? And he says, they're good. And then he just sped up his walk. And that's when I got the message like, oh shit. It reminds me of the Tiger documentary on HBO a couple of years ago, where one of the sports journalists was saying, all these young bucks finally got, their chance. And they were saying, I wish I could take Tiger in his prime. I wish I would have had a shot at him. The fuck you do.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like. Sahith Theegala might be the most tear-jerking moment of all for me. I loved Tony Finau.
Oh, he was the one with Joel Damon. It was him, the two of them for that episode.
Theegala?
I thought it was, wasn't it?
No, Thigala was at the end.
Was he? Whatever. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I derailed you there. Go on.
Thigala was with Mito because they were talking about
that's
the rookie,
right. The two international guys.
Yeah, the two
rookies,
international guys. One was Pereira, who was this, Spaniard, been there, done that, super high expectations. And then you got Thigala, who was like, I'm just happy to be here, soaking it all in. He had just left his parents' house. But seeing when he hit the ball in the water, and I think it was at the 3M or something like that.
Yeah, you talking about his father's reaction?
Oh, my
that was
God.
like his father's reaction killed me, because you just saw the support, you saw the love, and you just love to see that, and then such a genuine natural form.
His vulnerability,
just vulnerability.
Thank you. His vulnerability.
Oh,
God. That is what made me fall in love with him all over again. If you watched the show before, you know that we've always believed in his talent. We've picked him a bunch. I do think he's going to be a star.
Yeah.
But seeing him just flat out say, what's wrong with being upset when you're upset? What's wrong with being angry when you're angry? What's wrong with
that? And I love that his father taught him that, because it paves the way for kind of what the idea of a man should be passed down right now from current generations to next generations, and even slightly past generations to current generations.
And so that leads us into the end of the show, both figuratively and literally. And we talk about that Rory episode where, he loses to the LIV champion Cameron, in the mullet. And then I love that you chirped the mullet and you didn't even know that Paulina Gretzky was right behind you. Go back to the LIV Boston episode.
We've talked about it.
I'll never let you forget it. She was stunning and she was very kind.
I know.
But you look at Rory and you look at the position he's in, this elder statesman, the kind of weight on his shoulders, and leaving wasn't an option for him. It's an option for Brooks Koepka. It's an option for Cam Smith. It's an option for these guys. And I'm not saying that anybody wouldn't, choose it or whatnot, Rory said something in there that I think was super, super poignant. And especially in this age of awareness and self-recognition and grace. And he said, at the players only meeting, he was like, guys, we're the only professional athletes in the world who get to determine on our own schedule where we play and when we play. Yeah, and he said that was kind of
a little bit.
And I think that was a little bit of even though we have points, we have to make concessions because this is a responsibility we carry. So
it was the complete anti-idea to Phil pushing the whole leverage narrative. It was the complete anti-story to that, and I loved it.
Yeah, and I love that he said "fuck you, Phil," and he's like,
"Oh, that's right." He did. He's like, "I hope they leave that in."
And they're like, "Yeah, that's gonna make it for sure." He's got a point. I mean, all these guys have points, and the reason nobody's touching DJ, and the reason that Jordan Spieth's out there saying we miss him, we love him, he's such a good dude, we love him, is because he didn't do it the wrong way.
Yeah,
they all have their reasons, and you can have your reasons, but how you go about your business, says a lot about who you are. So I truly enjoyed how they kind of put that story together. I think if you're not a golf person, still go watch it. If you are a golf person, definitely go watch it. If you were skeptical about it, it'll teach you a little bit something about the game and about life. And I think they really scored a big hit. I'm not endorsed by Netflix. Trust me. If I was, I probably would be sitting here right now. Jokes would take all incoming endorsements, but from our house to yours, enjoy week 1 on the LIV Tour. Enjoy week whatever at the Honda Classic. The PGA Tour is riding high right now. I would love nothing more than a 3-way playoff of 2 rookies and Matt Kuchar, right? Something like that. That's what I'm hoping for. That would be great TV. But in the end, whenever you bet responsibly.
Yes.
But stick around for hour 2 of Tea Time. It's good stuff here on Fantasy Sports Corp. I feel at home. Back to you in the studio, Andrew.
Coming up right after us here, they're coming on at 9:30 is Plus Money Golf. If you're a bit more into placing bets with your sports books and talking about who's going to finish top 5, top 10, who's going to win, who's going to beat who to who in a head-to-head, or all that
wicked
jazz.
Smart.
Those are the guys to get in there, listen to them, get their picks, get their advice. They won't steer you wrong every week. You can join the kind of the double hour of as we're calling it, tea time here on Fantasy Sports Corporation, starting with us 8 o'clock every Tuesday. over here. And as always, head over to piper.golf. They got golf balls, they got golf accessories, and then malabros.com as well for all your golf apparel. And of course, the Second Ball All-American t-shirts here by Divots and Pivots. Thank you to Malabros for those as well. Get on there, get on both of those sites, and at checkout, use the discount code DIVPIV, that's DIVPIV, and you'll get a 10% discount on your order of anything on their website. As always, huge thank you to Fantasy National Golf Club for all the stats that allow us to make our picks. Huge shout out to Belly Up Sports, Belly Up Media as well for giving us a home, giving us support. And hell, we got 2 fantastic production kind of sources on our backs now. So we're ready to rise to the stars and bring it to you every week. What I say earlier, bring the bang. Is that what I said?
We are gonna bring the bang and rise to the stars.
Okay, we're gonna bring the bang. We're gonna rise to the stars. We will see you next week here, Tuesday, 8 o'clock on Fantasy Sports Corp. Have a great night, everyone, and enjoy the Honda.
Here, make